The Seoul Olympics, 1988. The women's 4x100. Alice Brown to Sheila Eccles to Florence Griffith Joyner, FloJo to Evelyn Ashford. No matter what the event in life, transitions are always challenging. But there are particular challenges that surface around organizational leadership transitions. Since our handoff almost 2 years ago, we've gotten a lot of questions about how did you make that work? And so we've been grappling with this question. How do you execute a successful passing of the baton? We thought we'd share with you some insights that have surfaced for us.
Well, the first rule of the road in a good transition is actually to know your role. And that one is really a little tough sometimes, but I remember when Jane Fonda turned 60, that she called it her third act. I loved that because her father told her actually that the third act is the most important act of your life because that's the one in the play that pulls everything together. And for my third act, I turned 60. And I decided to create this White House project to get a diverse group of women into leadership at all levels of society and up to and including the presidency. And it was just an amazing thing to be able to do. I loved it. I completely loved it because I knew it would change everything. But as we have found out, this is a long race to get women into leadership like that. And I was finished with my leg in that race. You know, I had a very interesting epiphany of how it happened. I heard the voice of one of my little grandchildren when she was very little. And what she would do after she finished with a meal or after she was in the back of the car is she would just very calmly say, "I'm done." And she was done. But I heard that. It's like it spread all across the room, and it just said, "I'm done." And it was lovely because, frankly, it didn't make me sad, it didn't scare me, whatever. It just made everything really clear.
Not long after I became president of the White House Project, a journalist asked me, "What is the biggest difference between you and Marie?" My first thought was demographics. Marie was born in a public hospital in Georgia State in 1940. I was born at an Army hospital in Washington State in the 1970s. We grew up in very different places and in very different times. But we are the same in our vision of a world in which women's gifts and women's voices are fully harnessed for the benefit of all of us. My response to the journalist was that the biggest difference between me and Marie is that I have far greater responsibility to advance women and girls. Because of the leg that Marie and her generation ran, I have a lot more options. Like the option to just inform my husband how many children we're gonna have. We have a boy, we have a girl, one of each model, babe, we're done. And because I have more options, I have more privilege. And because I have more privilege, I have more responsibility. It is a lot of pressure, especially juggling 2 small children, a partner who lives all over the world, community service, but it is that responsibility that fuels my fury for my leg of the race. Lesson number 2, in order to execute a successful passing of the baton, you must make the investment, an investment of time and an investment of trust. Right before I moved to New York in 2006, someone that I respected said, "When you get to the Big Apple, you go find Marie at the White House Project. Tell her I sent you." I read her book, Closing the Leadership Gap, from cover to cover, And I knew enough about her 30 years of advocacy to know that she would meet the most important criteria a mentor once told me you should look for in a boss. Find someone who has already done so much, they don't have anything else to prove. Within the first 15 minutes of that meeting, I knew that I wanted to work for you. I knew that I wanted to learn from you. Because in that short amount of time, you saw me. And if you're ever someone who's ever been invisible, you know how motivating it is when someone sees you. You saw my potential. You gave me opportunity. You let me fail. You set really, really high expectations. But you opened that door, and I ran.
I owe so much to that friend. I'm still paying. But it's true, I do see you, I still see you. And after a few years, I figured I had to really invest in the young women in the White House Project in our organization, because we learned through politics that, you know, if you don't run before you're 35 for office, you never make it to the top. And my young women were gonna make it to the top. So this is... So I started, and I sent you to that great leadership training program in Washington for a year, and every time we had a board meeting, I featured you so they could see you and go gaga. And actually what was so great is then she, with this attention, she started to run faster and faster and faster and more gracefully all the time, till suddenly we were just running in tandem together, because that's where she was. And then I knew that I had to go to the three women in my life who I trust the most, who give me courage, who give me direct and straight talk. And I said, I just want you to know what I'm doing. I'm gonna leave the White House Project. They all know what that meant to me. I said, and I'm gonna put Tiffany Dufu in. I'm gonna get her into that position because it'll be great. And they talked about it for a while, but then one astutely said to me, Marie, I just wanna check something out with you, hon. She said, are you really ready to put an amazingly beautiful young star into that position? Because when you do, you will be done. It was a great thing. It was a great thing, because what it did is it raised the things that we don't talk about in transitions like this. It raised the stuff about, you know, you're not going to be in the limelight. You don't have any real job title to go to. And actually, you might disappear. And so that's something we need to think about, because that's why a lot of people hang on far too long, because they don't want to disappear. And it's made me think of something particularly for the US audience, because I think in our country, one of the things we do is every time we meet someone, we say, what do you do? As a way to make sure we can size up almost, and who are they, and how visible are they to us, et cetera. And I think it's a bad habit. And we need to say, just add one little word maybe sometime, like, what do you like to do? I mean, because it is a problem. However, this was not a problem for me, because I felt so completely invested in you, so completely invested in your success, so completely confident about what you would do, not only for the organization, but for your whole generation. It was no problem. And it led me to the final act, which is the third thing you have to do for any important transition. You have to get everybody who's got skin in the game involved. Everybody who has any skin, the board, the staff, everybody. The byword of transition is communicate, 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 communicate. Because everybody has to join. This has to be everybody's decision about who's leading. It has to be everybody's decision about the vision. And I did that, and voila. And I just want to assure you, though, it's really good, because I still get to speak. I have a book contract. I still get to mentor wonderful women. Some of my friends actually tell me I look younger, because for those of you in the audience that run these things, I don't get up every day for the first time in 40 years and raise money. And it really, it does a lot for your skin. But at any rate, and I go, when Tiffany calls me, I go see her. But the truth is, and the value is that you are a star, my dear. You are a star. And there's there's more. Wait, there's more. We're not finished. And actually, what is so wonderful is that I do get tweaked every now and then, by the way, but what I get tweaked about is just the confidence that she and younger women have, their wonderful assertiveness, the way they walk in, the way they share the table, the way they're not worried. They are actually bringing more of them together. And I would like to think it's because some of us put a couple of leaves in the table. But